got me because that was a little. I was like, oh, it's longer than I was.
Yeah. I have to make us another intro that's not, because that one I play on Thursday Night Live. So this is the hot takes for the season. What is this, season 8?
No, it's definitely like I think it's season 9. I'm not sure though, because you know what I noticed.
Hey Mocha, hey Ellen,
hey y'all. If you go on to if you go into there's only a certain amount of seasons, but if you go into another platform to watch, it's like the seasons are weirdly numbered.
Hey Motown Investor. So there was some discrepancy about that resort season.
Like maybe it wasn't a real season. Okay.
Well, we counted it as viewers, I believe, but OWN is counting it funky or whatever. But so this is the hot takes review on the Hoedown at the ranch.
Oh my goodness!
I'm calling it a ranch. I don't know if it's a ranch, but it was a nice piece of property that's Black owned. I heard them say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So listen, I'm gonna throw it over to you because you do good recaps. So what happened that stood out to you in this episode?
All right, let me go on ahead and share the screen. They finally got on the cast screen. They finally have the real cast in all the pictures. So this is where we are. Okay, so oh my gosh, I really enjoyed this episode. Like I was like, oh, this is cool. Okay, so the first thing that I noticed was like Morier and Sierra are went out together, and she is so funny. I just cannot get over it. Okay, and
I was shocked at that connection. Go ahead.
I was too. I thought she was gassing him a little bit, and then she revealed that she is interested. I was like, oh, because I know she likes Herbert.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, she said her top person was him. Morier. I was really shocked about that.
And I can feel like that he has some swag on him. And I also feel like he has a really good outlook. I don't know that for sure, you know what I'm saying? But like just from what he was talking about, I felt like he had a good outlook on things. But they had a great connection, and I definitely enjoyed them on their date. I thought they were funny. I love it when people bring stuff out of each other and they just are vibing. So that was a really good part. Now, okay, a couple of things.
Me too, Motown Investor.
What's that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I was saying me too. Motown Investors said,
I love the dancing too. Ellen said, I want a big man with a Southern accent who's a big truck driver. What in the world?
Park your Big Mac truck right in the center.
Mocha said, like she's talking to, she has to be talking about Morier and Sierra. Yeah.
I was
like, oh, okay. Didn't see that coming, but cool. Okay, so then okay, there's a lot happening here with Unique and Red. I'm going to get to that in a second, but one of the things that I realized is that Chris and Unique are forging a connection, because he was a little bit taken aback last time when she was like kind of serious, and she was like, I don't go for the BS, and he was like, oh, but now
that was the name that I wrote down.
Unique. Oh, okay, yeah. Now he's saying that he's been through a lot of ish. Also, what's funny to me is he's country, okay? He is country. And I don't mean that in a bad way or a negative way or anything like that, but that country accent, he cannot hide that thing. No. That thing is thick. But what's funny is Unique said about him, she said that he has a country boy heart, but a city boy mindset. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you can kind of see that he's obviously like they're forging a connection. That's really the long and short of it.
Me neither, Ellen. I ain't never heard that. I'm gonna have to look that up.
So both of them.
Big truck song. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. We probably have heard it and don't even realize it. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting connection. I'm interested to see what happens with Chris and Unique. I didn't get to see Unique and Marvin, but Marvin kind of hit me a little bit different this week. Only based on probably what they were showing, because I think he's a polite person, and I think he probably was just like, engaging in the conversations one-on-one, and sometimes you can, say things, whatever the conversation is, you know what I'm saying? Like you can just into that conversation, but they got that he was like sort of, what did she say about him? So Kira had something to say about him. She felt like Marvin might have been, switching back and forth. She said, "Is he a dream seller or a gentleman?"
Mm-hmm.
Say it just like that, but those are the two terms she used. And I was
Yeah, she
like,
thought
oh,
he was telling her what she wanted to hear.
yeah, what she wanted to hear. But so they must have been having some conversations or something because she showed up to that date last time with the leather and lace, which I was like, oh, is that a thing? Marvin is funny, y'all.
Marvin is hilarious.
I think he's good for TV. And I think I'd watch him on, like, they used to do those things on so down. Everybody knows how old I am anyway. But like we used to watch like Road Rules in the Real World and stuff like
I
that.
remember Road Rules.
But then they would get the cast members together sometimes to do like little challenges and stuff like that. And you get to see people from different casts. Mm-hmm. If they were ever to bring different people from different casts to another, like maybe like a second chance, Ready to Love, or something like that. Ooh, y'all better call me on that. I want my check. I want my royalties. If y'all did a little like trip, like a Bahamas trip, or I don't know, Bahamas is out.
So yeah, because they could do an All Stars. I've heard that before. Like
I would be into
All Stars. You would be open to seeing him returning on another.
Yes, for sure. He's very intriguing. There's people from past seasons that I find very intriguing. I would love to see. Mm-hmm. And then we see that other people are making connections from other casts from other seasons. So that is a thing. People are ready to love. They're ready to love. Or maybe they weren't when their show was on, but now they are.
But like you said, different people bring out different things. You know what I'm saying? Mocha, I can't remember what the name of the ranch was. Dang. I just perked up when they said that it was a Black-owned property.
Yeah, that was cool. I really like that.
She loved the Real World, and the challenge. Road Rules, not so much. I love the Real World. Yeah, that was
the Real World. Okay, look, let's get real. The Real World was better than Road Rules. Road Rules was a little weird because they would be, like in tight quarters together, and they always had to do like physical challenges and stuff like that. So I don't feel like, I don't know, maybe you could get to know somebody better that way, but I was never into the cast as much as I was those Real Worlds.
Yeah, like, because Real World, anybody could be a part of it because they didn't have to be physical. When that the Road Rules thing, it was just like I wasn't sure if I felt like watching something like that. So like I want to watch people getting to know each other and doing stuff, but I don't necessarily need to see them do challenges. So I did like both of them, but I like Real World was my shit. Real World.
It really was. And even now we see all of these people who were on Real World who made it into other areas. Like, well, Heather B was already doing her thing, but like, what's her name? Tammy Roman and Cameron and the other girl who's on Cameron with her. They're like, she's like a big actress, but Cameron is on Southern Charm. And Kawamo, remember Kawamo was like the first out Black gay man on Real World.
Yeah.
I think that's his name. Karamo? Is it Karamo?
I think it's Karamo.
He has a show now. Have you seen this show?
Really? No, I haven't.
Dude,
I would love to see it though.
He's like a calm Jerry Springer. The people he be having on his show.
Direct me to it. I want to see it. I want to see it.
Anyway, we're all up.
Logan said she couldn't get into any of those shows. She said, remember, she's older than all of us.
Oh, okay. I would love to know what you were into because we used to watch some older stuff too. Like,
yeah, that's a good question. I would like to know too.
We used to watch I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched and I Love Lucy, and we used to watch everything. Cuomo, yes, my bad. I called him Cuomo.
Yeah, please direct me to his show because I definitely will.
Okay, look. Okay,
so anyway, go ahead.
So Marvin done intimidated these ladies, okay, because he's bringing all this like energy, and I remember in the beginning of the season, I remember thinking like he's pretty intense, you know what I'm saying? But Unique seemed to enjoy him, and other people were kind of like intrigued, but this time, and they didn't even show what I would think would be intimidating, but it seemed like Lee was just like, I've had enough. When they sat there and talked, and he kind of listed out all his like fetishes,
Yeah, but see, I don't feel like he just sat down and started saying all that stuff. Like, I feel like they had to have taken some parts out of that conversation, because the stuff he was talking about, it was just like, wow, just jump right to that, huh?
Just jump right into it, talking about fetishes and what he got restraints under his bed, and you don't know what the forced orgasm is. It's like he was telling trivia facts, but the slutty version. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh gosh,
right? Like,
well, I think it's important to point out that Marvin, I wonder if he was in his alter ego then, but he said that he thought Lee was genuine, and he also let us know that he's an ass worshiper. He talked about his fetishes and like you said, the restraints he had under his mattress, and Lee was not feeling it. But go ahead, I had to jump in and say that.
No, that was spot on, because another thing was that Jessica said that she thought Marvin was a little inconsistent. And like you said, Kara was like, he tells them what they want to hear. So I was like, I was getting a different depiction of him, even with whatever editing they did, because I do think that they develop a storyline and then they edit to show, like, to kind of like provide evidence of their storyline, right? So like a lot of things sometimes don't even make sense. And I notice in other reality shows, sometimes they'll play a clip again and it'll make you think somebody said something twice, but it's really like they're just overplaying the clip so that, you know what I'm saying, that you have that in your mind. So I don't know how they chopped and screwed that, but it seemed like, he jumped right in. I don't think that was what happened.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But either way, he was at the bottom because the women are not feeling that he's consistent or that he is really showing up in a way that they think is authentic, I suppose. But Ray,
hold on, before you get into that, Motown Investor says, I cannot stand Marvin. He is not ready to love. He is ready to fuck. Black women or kick him off. I feel like that's how he came across to the women. I felt like that's what they were picking up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's kind of crazy though, because like you go to this thing and you film all these hours and then you just have no idea how, what happened, right? All the parts to what happened when you were present, but you don't know how they're going to chop it and screw it or what narrative they're going to follow, right? Because when you're editing in a video, you can just watch the video and you be like, okay, I can go from this, I can talk about this, or I can like have this angle, or I can have this angle, right? Yeah. And they have all that footage for stuff to happen, and it's just, it's just wild. I know that some of them are probably home sitting watching this stuff like, oh my God, I cannot believe they did that. I said this, I said this, I said this, but none of it made it was on the cutting floor, right? Yeah. Anyway, it's just interesting to watch, because while we're watching the show and things, the scenario and the narrative that they put forth in front of us, there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on the outside, because now they're having reactions, which I feel like, that happened in the beginning when Tequila went to do an interview to try to like talk about stuff that happened or whatever. It's like, dang, I wasn't even thinking that this was going to be the story. You know what I mean? Now I got to explain all this. That's just so wild to me. But
right, because it was a whole different reason than why she was even there. Now she's having to come up and be accountable for, like, I felt like people were, I don't know, I don't think it was unfair, because that's what we saw, so we have to talk about what we saw. But I could also understand how, I had a moment, right, and everybody saw it on TV, and if your adrenaline was as high as mine, then you might do something similar. Like, I always keep that in the pocket, but at the same time, I like to think and hope and pray that if I were ever on television, I would have the awareness to be like, oh, put the cameras on.
See, but the thing is, this is the thing, because if you don't give it to them to record, then they can't do anything with it. Or if you don't let them film you saying, some stuff you just can't avoid. If you're having conversations, you're having conversations. But if it's a situation where you have an outburst, you do have to remember that if you don't give it out, they're not going to be able to record it, right? I can't. That's just how I'm at work too. I'm like, I'm not
give you something to use against me.
You'll never get that. Like, no, absolutely not. So and that's the other thing that kind of, and my word of the night is interesting, because another thing that's interesting to me is how we have had so many seasons of Ready to Love. The first thing I would do if I applied on the show or got contacted by the show is I would go watch shows that I haven't watched, just because somebody's already gone through it. Let me see what kind of happened or whatever. Like, I would have to do some background research or whatever. That's one of my pet peeves. I talk about that all the time. Like, you do research on stuff before you buy it. Why wouldn't you do research on something
before you go and are represented by it? Yeah.
So it always makes me laugh when people say they didn't watch the show, and I'd be like, why not? Why not? Like, why would you want to be surprised like that? But anyway, that's just
it's thought. True. It's true.
Yeah, that's just my thought. But
so another interesting thing, and then I'll move on to something. So anyway, Aries and Philip also have a connection. She said that they talked on the phone a lot. And that as when they got together, she was giddy and she was saying, like, I've been waiting for this, and he had been waiting for it too. And I can kind of see that. I mean, I love it when I can see the connection. Like, it's almost like palpable, like you could grab it or something. It's almost like tangible. But they're really cool together, because Aries also has a connection with Quentin, or we saw that they did. I don't think I recall seeing them together this episode.
I don't know.
But they were all into each other on that couch that day when they all came.
They were, but you're right. I hadn't seen them after that.
So I don't know. But Quentin, speaking of Quentin actually has his eyes on Janelle. Janelle has two connections, Quentin and Herbert. But what she likes about Quentin is that he keeps applying pressure. That's what she says. He says he's hard to connect with people in the beginning, and she's saying that she's looking for whether to see if this is just an attraction or if it's a connection. I thought that was really cool to think about, because it's like, if you're talking about two attractive people, they're going to be attracted to each other, right? Like, let's not mistake that for this being like a real thing, right? Okay. And I think, people do that all the time, because I used to do it all the time too. But so what did you think about Janelle and her two connections with Herbert and Quentin?
I knew that she, had those connections, right? What happened to her and Red? Did they decide to stop talking?
I thought the same thing too. I actually think that Red is gonna go home.
I think it's interesting. Hold that thought, because I want to talk about
I got him next.
I think it's interesting that it's those two, and then they're being kind of competitive. Well, I don't want to even say they're being competitive, because Quentin walked over there and was like all in their business.
Like, y'all got close. Yeah, that was cute. It was all cute, and they're all keeping it light. And Herbert's like, "Oh no, man, don't come over here."
Wrong time, man.
I love them. I feel like.
We saw a lot of connections this episode. I feel like, not even a lot of. I won't even say connections. We saw a lot of sparks. You know what I mean?
For sure. For sure. Even like when Chris had to get his award, and I was like, look, man, you get an award for work, you better get out of here. I can appreciate that. That means he's good at his job. That means he's reliable. He seems like a nice guy.
My water got all over my face. Look, for that, I wasn't feeling no type of way, because I really thought it was funny that right now you say you gotta leave, y'all just happen to be filming. Okay.
No, I think that's
but I just laughed that off, right? I think that it was good that he got a chance to still spend some time and make his rounds. You know what I mean?
That was good. So,
I don't think he's going. I don't think he's going.
I thought it was really funny the way Jessica walked him around too. Like, hey, remember Chris? Y'all know,
right? She helped him make his rounds. I was like, oh my god.
I'm not mad at that, but he seems like a really good guy. I was concerned for him in the beginning, because it looked like he was,
not like nobody was talking.
It looked like he was short, and it looked like, how people can be about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, is he going to make it? But he doesn't really look that short. I don't really know what I was thinking about, because it seems like they had mentioned the new lady Kat, that she's tall. They said that in the thing. But when they met, I felt like they were same height. I don't know. I could be making that up, because they
I don't know, but we do
down a lot of that day.
I think Marie is tall.
Anyway, listen, I don't even want to talk about that, because that's not even like what I meant to say. And it's very, whatever. It's not about that. I really want to talk about Red his whole
Okay.
situation. Um,
Lord, like why? I was wondering why are they talking again? But it was his initiation to go over there and try to. I thought he was trying to make things right.
Dude, I'm confused because okay, so first of all, I didn't see any interaction with him and Janelle, so I got to think that's probably over. And she didn't mention him when she kept talking about her tops. She was talking about so he's got what connections? I don't know who's connected to him at this point because then he was talking about Kira, but I haven't seen Kira going over there either. So then I'm starting to think like, who the hell wants to be with you? Because you're, I thought he had connections, but then none of them are shown with him. Always, and listen, like I said, this is an edited show, but all I see is him like talking about his job or being petty with Unique. Now,
okay. Now the thing is, yes, he is doing a lot of that as far as the petty with Unique. But the thing is that, like, did he have any moments where he was funny and showing his personality and stuff like that? Because I don't know, just like how they did Marvin, like they didn't show a lot of his conversations about stuff like he wants for family or whatever. They showed a little bit of it this time, but not in like the Unique situation. He said he talked to her about a lot of that stuff. But I wonder if he, what happened. I mean, he wasn't making the connections, obviously, because the two people that we thought he was connected to, we didn't really see him with this episode. So I don't know, because it's like Lee thought he was boring. You know what I mean?
I don't even see him on here. They got some people on here twice, but I don't see Red's picture. And they got Marvin on here twice, and they got Jessica on here twice. All right, come on, y'all gotta get together. Kira's on here twice, and these look like yearbook pictures. I need y'all to get it together. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get through off.
I mean, no, I was just saying, he didn't have any connections, and he just needs to leave the Unique thing alone.
I think that he's not ready for love. And here's why. And it's so funny because I literally watch this show and I'd be like, this is such a wacky setup and like who's gonna find love in this environment? But I'm starting to peep a couple of things that are like sort of necessary for you to see. Like in a regular dating relationship, you're not gonna have like sort of competition, you know what I mean? Where, oh well, he's dating her or she's dating him, so I better, be on my
best. You're damn sure not going to be able to hear what they have to say. Like all the people you're dating are not going to get into a room together and talk about
and be like, hey, did you peep that about her, or did you talk to him about this? Yeah, so that's a benefit actually, and then to think about the idea that like somebody else wants you. I need somebody else to want you too. I can't be the only one because that means that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not, I don't know, something. I don't know. Because it doesn't have to be everybody wants you, but it's like it's nice to be in an environment where you're being valued by more than one person because you're like, oh, you see it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I haven't seen that from Red. All I see is him, and then again with the edits, but he's always listing out his work history. He's sitting there with Lee. I'm like, what? You're doing this again? So like the Lee thing was first because she was like, I'm ready to see her fun side. Hit it buzzer and shit. Like over here, be fun.
Oh my god!
And then he was just like mad lax, and then he talks about. I mean, the most boring. Like, okay, listen, he was so bored. He was talking about the things he did in his corporate jobs, like, and then I head up the the Department of IT and all the wonder and adventure there. It's like why are you talking about this on a date? She had just said like this isn't like an interview, but then he just went right into interview mode, and I was like, why are you telling? That's nothing about you. That's like about.
See, okay, but I'm thinking like on them dates, right? You have like for me, the type of person I am, I could talk to anybody. If I go on a date, I already know the date is gonna go well conversationally because I know how to bring up different topics. I know how to, try to avoid awkward pauses. I know how to, have a conversation like that. Even if for me, I can already tell this is, not going well or whatever. It's not gonna look like awkward. It's not gonna feel awkward. But with him talking about that stuff, it makes me feel like he just didn't know what to talk about. he seemed like he might have been a little bit intimidated by her.
Okay.
If I'm honest, I was like, he is just sitting in her face like, oh my God, I'm in front of her. That's the vibe I got from him, that she might have been just a lot for him and he couldn't think straight, because you're a comedian. Like, you should be able to have those kinds of
You should be
conversations.
like,
You
not
know,
even like selling yourself, but like you should be able to have the most natural and funny conversation, because
yeah,
you know what hits, right? So, but
yeah.
it's just like you have
And
to
you don't even necessarily have to be cracking jokes. It's just being
the timing and
personable or whatever,
study.
I guess. I don't know.
Comedians are some of the most thoughtful people because they have to be aware of all these different elements. But in order for their joke to hit, and in order for them to like, especially like the really great comedians like, you know, like Richard Pryor or like Dave Chappelle or Cat Williams, whatever it was, tell a story, and then the story matures all the way down the, you know what I'm saying, the comedy show. So it's like you bring up something in the beginning, and then you said so you have to be aware of so many things and be on point. And I feel like,
which is
why
why I'm
is he so
shocked
awkward on
that
a
he
date?
was getting that people was giving him the boring title or whatever. So I'd be interested to see like what he has to say about it, because I know he's probably going to say something. But in other news, like he does look like he has a fun job as far as the DJ. He was dancing with the basketball team and stuff like that. But it just was not. Lee looked really bored, and I just feel like he was just kind of like, I don't want to say smitten with her, but he was just like, like the dude that has a really beautiful woman in front of him, and he just like tripping over himself. He wasn't tripping over himself, but he just seemed like he just didn't know what to say. I don't know. That's just what
I question
But
his.
Ellen wants you to define comedian.
Oh my gosh, that's a heavy question. Comedian, I would say, um, one who tells life stories in an amusing way. I don't know. Like I would have to. I
I
mean,
mean, the word funny would be the first thing to come to my mind. Like, you
well,
have to
yeah,
be
funny
funny.
person, but like I feel like he obviously, like, you know, just because you go on stage and perform under the title comedian doesn't mean that you are, you know. Anyway, I'm not even gonna finish that. But
Well, we'll get into
look,
that in a minute,
Ti
because
was a
in that
comedian, guys.
conversation with,
Did you know
in
that?
that, huh?
Ti was also a comedian.
I was get out my
Did you
head. I was
know
gonna say
that?
that Jay actually went to one of those shows too. She was it was funny, but yeah, I I know that you have to make me laugh. I don't know. I don't know. Like, but let's get into the conversation about him with him and Unique, because in
Okay.
that conversation, he was talking about everybody. He feels like everybody should know who he is. He's the king of the city or
Like,
whatever.
oh my
And
god.
if that's the case, that's what I'm saying. Like, your conversation should be on point with everybody, even if it's laid back. Like, I can be laid back with somebody and still have a good conversation, because it's all about what you're talking about. You know what I mean? So I was very
Yeah.
shocked by that, to be honest. But
Well, so okay, one of the things that I picked up on this time was that, and you said something about this a couple of episodes ago, but like you said or picked up on the idea that like Unique said that she'd known about him or she'd heard about him before, and I guess he took that like it was a professional
well,
thing. But
she didn't even say that. She said, "I feel like I've seen you before, or I feel like I might know you, or I feel like I'm supposed to," or something like that.
yeah,
It
like we've
wasn't a
met before.
definite. Oh, we've been in the same place before. It wasn't a definite like that. You know what I mean?
So she seems to be bringing that back up, and I feel like she's talking about personal life, and he's talking about professional life. Like, I don't have a bad name. Like, nobody ever said that, old man. Like, you're just making things
I
up.
see what you're
It's like
saying.
he's talking about whatever she heard or saw you do, and
Or like she might know somebody that knows
right.
him or whatever
She
kind of thing.
knows, heard, or saw of you doing. And she might be going off of that. But I feel like, he came for her and it got real, technical when it didn't have to be. Because I feel like, I think he actually used the word beef, which is like super weird to me because it's like, or maybe I said that. Maybe I said beef, but the idea to me is like, how did you find yourself on a dating show having a whole beef with a female?
And
That's
the crazy
exactly the
thing is,
opposite.
he
What you came here
initiated
to
the
do.
conversation.
Yeah,
He
and she kind of explained it like, yeah, I knew in the beginning that it wasn't going to be a thing. You knew that in the first 15 minutes, and at some point he starts barking out his accomplishments and and I'm the king of the city. It's like when you hear yourself say that, you have to understand that like
lost.
you've
Like,
lost. Like you don't the even even the
oh
landing of
my
that
god.
point, even sustained, it's not going to get you nowhere in a relationship with nobody around you. Because like not only are you saying that you're barking your shit to a woman, like that's going to be like, you know what, you're right. I think I'm in love with you. You know what I'm saying? Like you're nowhere near that. So like, what are you doing? And then other people can see you.
What are you doing?
So you now that you thought you were gonna set her straight, and then somebody else is over there like, ew, like why is he talking like that? And another person did talk about him listing out or name calling, and
Katarina. I think it was
unfortunately,
Katarina.
it's not attractive for him. It's not a good look for him. And he said he was very laid back, but he just he's not giving those vibes. So I understand Unique probably wanted to get right out of that conversation.
She probably didn't even want to talk to him. And I think it was the Haitian Empress that said it. She was like, I'm pretty sure that he started that conversation, and she was right. The Haitian Empress, yeah, and he just really needs to just let it go, because it does seem like he still feels some type of way about it, because in the very beginning he put that whole thing out about he put a post or something out about a producer is different than a production
Yeah.
assistant. So it's like he still probably harbors a little bit of energy, but things like that happen when like you really did like somebody and they just completely didn't pick up on what you putting down. And he just sounded like when he was talking about, oh, you learned all that for me in 15 minutes, whatever. It's like you didn't get, all I heard was you didn't give me a chance. You didn't give me enough time. Like, so
But you
poor Reddit.
can't force it on somebody and be like,
No,
this
and
and this and this.
especially if your first impression is not a good one. Like,
It's and that was unfortunate too. Just even the thought of you having a personal conflict with another. She said, "New season, I still hate these people." Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Even if you did have a personal, he doesn't have any personal connections, but the ones, if this could be considered a personal connection, but it's negative, and it's like, how did you get here?
and every encounter makes it that much worse, because it's like, bro, like there's
Pouring salt
nothing
in it.
worse. Okay, from a woman's point of view, there's nothing worse than a dude that will not like just take the L. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but what that's another story. But
That's another story, but I do think that I hate when they leave us on a cliffhanger like this. It really bothers me. It's like my
it's one of
inside.
my pet peeves for this show. I hate when they do that. But the next episode, we should get 2 eliminations. We should get something in the beginning, and
Yeah,
then we should get, unless they do another cliffhanger at the end. But
which is fine as long as they give me one. But my vote is that Red has got to go. I think they're going to give Marvin another chance because I think he does at least have a connection with Unique, even though we didn't see that. But in this episode, I think he does have a connection with Unique, and I think he's interesting, and other people aren't ready to vote.
yeah,
I
see,
think
so
Red's gonna go.
I'm stuck. I don't know who's gonna go, because, like I said about Marvin, like he has the stuff that he has shared has turned them off. Not in the like, oh, I can't stand it, but either they're not into it, either like I'm pretty sure that helps when you think that he's telling you everything you want to hear, but. So he's in danger to me, like, because he really doesn't have that many connections. If you think about it, like all the people that say his name, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the way that they were just like, but then Red doesn't have any connections either. He would be eliminated for another reason. Like, I feel like if they eliminated him, it's totally because of how he was coming off. If they eliminate Marvin, it's just kind of like we're not into the same things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's up in the air for me. I don't know who is gonna go.
I think it's gonna be Red. I feel like I do know. Anyway, this was fun. I can't wait to talk more about. I can't wait to see the next episode, but we got some other things brewing. I can't wait to talk more about. So yeah, that was our recap. We did it in 34 minutes, 35 minutes.
Goody says she was wrong to open that closing line calling him a thought. Now, I do agree that put a sour taste in his mouth, but like I've had situations where it kind of got started off on the wrong foot. Like, why couldn't they just be like, you know what? Let's just start over from the beginning. Let's just let it go. We don't know each other. We got off on the wrong foot. Like, I don't understand why that couldn't happen in that situation because they're all there to meet different people. So but she was wrong for that because that's the kind of joke you just put in after you're already comfortable with somebody.
There was an opportunity for him to address it in a very
it went wrong when she apologized and he just kept going. Like, I do understand why they couldn't do that because he wouldn't really. He just kept turning her off more and more. Like, even though she was wrong about that comment, I feel like they could have turned it around had he let it go, but he didn't let it go. Like I said, even when she apologized, he still was, or whatever. And
he said to commentary, basically in the background, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take it to the another level." It's just like,
okay, because those confessional cutaway scenes, like those scenes are not usually on the same day. It's a whole nother day. They got on different clothes and you're just talking about, you're referencing a situation. If you bring that same energy in that, then you feel some type of way. Now, I will say all this though, like I feel like, he does look like he could be a funny comedian. I don't know, but with this boring stuff is that he gave off, whatever. But like I said, his job does look fun. But hopefully he can look back and see like, okay, well maybe I can just, do this different or do that different or whatever, because he could probably be, ready to love one day.
Funny, sure. I have not heard of him, and I've, not been to Texas or whatever, but I have not heard of him, and I feel like, there's people who I have heard of that, like Country Wayne or something. You know what I'm saying? Like Country Wayne I haven't seen him in any like movie or like Kev on Stage, right? Like I know who Kev on Stage is, right? So like there's ways for you to miss out here. You. So
but I mean, and then he's talking about people in the city that he's in, like they don't even like they didn't know. So I don't know, like, I know the emotions are high at that show or whatever, especially when a person like gets let go or whatever. So Ellen said the shows don't even be that great for cliffhangers. Right. Like, come on, just let us know who's gonna go. Mocha says Red needs to go and Kira Boots is next.
Kira Boots. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
Goody says it should be both. And Goody said Marvin talks about too much sex-ish. Okay, now, I don't know if Goody was here yesterday, but he did a sex talk with Sequilla. And I learned so much that I do like Marvin, though. I do like Marvin. I just, I'm not into what he does, but he is definitely intense. But he also has talent, too. Like I said, he could sing. He has a couple of other things that he shared, too. But that is what he is into, and I feel like I need to see that if we were about to date, so I can be like, oh, that's not the door I want to go in. You know what I'm saying? Because if he held it back, and I found out after I like started talking to him and stuff like that, I would have been like, ugh.
Then it would be worse. So he has to be
like
that upfront.
Yeah, he has to, because I would feel like, now I got to make a decision, and you could have said something or whatever. So I feel like him doing that up front kind of lets people know where he's at. But yeah, so I don't know, but I think that they misunderstand, not even misunderstand. I don't want to say that. I think that they are not feeling, it's just a point blank. Like, okay, either I'm into it or I'm not. And so because they are feeling like that, I think that he really has a high chance to be the one to get cut. So, but Tommy could throw a curveball and be like, no one's going home.
Oh my God. Tommy's curveball crazy, yo. Them just be crazy. You never know what he's gonna do. But yeah, I hear that. Marvin could get cut as well. I get it. And he is pretty intense, but I feel you. I think he's a nice person or something. Like I don't get creepy vibes from him, and I don't get like petty vibes from him. I do see what Kira was saying about him just like saying whatever, because at one point he's talking about he wants to live in the Caribbean, and then he's like, "Oh, but I could raise kids in Texas." But it's like I also got his side of it too, though. Like when he said that, I was like, "Yeah," because you're making plans for your life based on whatever you feel right now. But if you were to get into a relationship with somebody, obviously you're gonna want to build
compromise with them because
right? And then
you don't know what they're gonna want.
And you don't know what is going to be the happy life for you until you meet the person, right? So I get where he was coming from when he's like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I'm here in Texas, like, you know, like I can totally about it." But maybe those comments didn't come from just that, and someone else called him inconsistent. So I see that he could also.
Yeah, the way that they showed us what they showed us, it definitely it's like you said. He said to her about living on the island, and then he also said to her that he could see raising kids there, and then he was talking to somebody else, and he was like, "I can't live in the country" or something like that, and it was just like, dude, what? You just said that you could do that. So it could have just been how it was presented or whatever, but I don't know, but that's why I think that he could probably be out of there next time.
Yeah. Well, that's fine because he'll be back for the Road Rules challenge.
See, the problem with this though, he's so stupid. The problem with this goodie, she said you can say you're in a lifestyle without graphics. So the problem with that is that I noticed that a lot of those women were intrigued and they wanted to know, like, even though they weren't into it, they were still intrigued and they were asking questions. Even on that live he did over there with the sex talk, it was people in there that wasn't even interested in that or sharing their thoughts, like the people who were on the panel or whatever. But people still had questions about it, right? So it's just interesting how that works because I'm sure he didn't just come right out and start talking about it. But if a person asks you got to be open about it.
You have to say it.
I personally just would need to know so that I can just be like, oh, we just,
Also, it's a big part of his life. Like this is what he's saying is his profession. He's an erotic author. He's an author of erotica. I've never met a person in all my years. Like I know they exist. Like I know erotica books, but I've not come in contact personally with a person who says like, I write books on erotica. And that's what I do Tuesday through Saturday. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, because I haven't read any erotica in a while, but erotica sells.
It does, but I'm just saying I've never met
one person. I think I knew one person, but it was a girl, and that was a long time ago. But I don't know if she was into it or not. But that's the thing too. Like
it's a big part of his life.
Yeah, because he does those shows, and in those shows, he's doing stuff. Now, it's no penetration that I've heard of because he was saying that. Well, maybe he was just talking about the YouTube channel. Maybe he was talking about the show, but he said it's no penetration, but it is sensual. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so he has to like borderline sex worker.
He has to do stuff during his shows that is, you're saying sex worker. She wore lace and leather. I thought she was feeling him, but then she turned around and was like, not feeling him. So she said, nah, bro, I'm cool. Go home, go fishing. So okay, so those are the people who are on the chopping block. Next episode, Chris gets emotional with Aries.
Yeah, I saw that.
Kira confronts Quentin with the white woman comment. When they subject.
That's so funny.
And then Herbert and Quentin go on a double date with Janelle. So that should be pretty interesting as well for next week.
Yeah, I feel like from the clip that they show, it looked like Boots was about to go home, but I don't know if they edited it that way. So
they did.
That. So I mean, I don't know.
Who else is in the bottom?
But I would not say that to a person like, "Oh, you look like you date this type of person." Like, I don't think I would say that to somebody. Even if I thought it, I think I would probably just keep that to myself because, like, it doesn't really have anything to do with me anyway.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Yeah, because at this point, it's your thought that you're asking me about. I haven't said that, and so yeah, I would have been careful about that. But we'll see because a lot of guys take that as offensive, especially if she's wrong. So
yeah, I would take it offensively, and also like even if that was his past, like I don't think that he is.
so I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, like I would think that that's not something that should be held against somebody or
Well,
something like.
it is something that is a trend, not even a trend, but in one of the DC seasons, I want to say it was the first season with remember Frank, the one that was doing the I remember him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
So
I know who Frank was.
his ex was a white woman, right?
And I
And
know
then
when they did the X date, I know they went home together that night.
well, and so fast forward, people had seen him and her out together after that. So that was a big thing though that he normally dated white women because but then like the whole thing is like, why would you go? But okay, why would you go on a show with black women if you are into white women? Now
Well, I
there
don't
are
think
other
it's
there
usually it's like you could do both. You could be attractive to both, to all.
you could, but there's also opportunist things too. Like if he was actually in a white woman, and that's a person's deep dark, not even deep dark preference, but like,
Yeah, it's their
you have
preference,
to
it's
say
their
that,
type
but
or
but
whatever.
it would just be
If
like,
it's
okay, well
his
maybe he
type
wanted
and he
to
doesn't
be
have another type, yeah, I see what you mean.
seen on the show, or I don't know, but like Ellen said, they say Frank did that. They said that they're convinced that he's into white women or whatever. But I don't know. I think that it's an opportunity at the end of the day. Some people go on there to really see if they can find love, and some people will be like, you know, it's an opportunity to be on TV. Or I've been on other shows. Like people do multiple reality shows too. So, but I just don't think everybody's intentions are always pure.
For
Um,
sure. I agree with that. I do. And I think, time will tell. Sometimes people, but like even with Frank is a great example because when him and Mumin were together at the end of the season, it looked fake. I feel
mhm.
like there's a certain element of like, you can see, like, it's not like you could see everything on film or whatever, but that looked awkward at the end. I remember thinking that to myself, like,
Mhm.
are they really doing that? Like, that's weird. But yeah, some of that stuff you could see right through. You know what I'm saying? So like that was, yeah, I see what you mean there. But
Mhm.
anyway, look,
Yep.
I had a great time watching this episode and I want to see the next episode. It's not even like I want to see the next episode. It's just like I kind of just want to see if I'm right about what I think is going to happen. I'm not
Mhm.
even like excited for the entire episode. I'm just like curious, like, are you going to eliminate Red? And this Boots actually about Boots. I called her Boots.
Right. So yeah, my focus is thinking about
That's
which
a whole
girl
other
is gonna go
person.
home. Which who's
Remember
gonna
Boots
be?
from Flavor of Love?
Yeah, something came out about her a couple of weeks ago too. I can't remember. I gotta remember that. But yeah, so I want to see what woman is gonna go home. Um, I'm the men, Red and Marvin. I don't know, but I'm thinking forward about which woman is gonna get cut because I'm like, who's in the bottom would care if she is in the bottom. I don't know. Like, so that's what I'll be
Yeah,
watching.
that's true. I got to think about that. Well,
Because I feel like all the women have connections. Like,
yeah, Jessica's connected to Chris. I don't know. That's a good question. We got to see.
yeah, so we'll see what happens. But thank you guys for coming. Let me see what Ellen said. She said Frank was with the white lady last I heard. I didn't keep this together. I don't know. He just, like I said, I think I said this in our
I wouldn't.
so
I
he
believe
comes
it.
across as phony to me. Like he's the guy that you see on the elevator every day when you go to work and you be like, how you doing? Yeah, what is good? Oh yeah, look at you look sharp, whatever. And then you just get off the elevator. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
He just seems like a surfacey person to me. So I was already looking at him like, who's this guy? But so I could believe that. But yeah, so that's it for this recap. Thanks, Mocha. And we are going to see what this week brings because something always happens during the week. If y'all have not started watching Kamisha's Ready to Love review panel, comes on tomorrow. And I think it's 1:00 Eastern Standard Time, 12 Central. So look out for that because some of the cast does end up over there at times. She
Watch
always,
it.
they always do a really good recap, and it's great to hear everybody's like perspective. And so definitely watch that. Shout out to Mocha, shout out to Ellen, shout out to Goody. Who else was in the building? Motown Investor.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all. Even people who are the cloud watchers, thank you.
Yeah,
Like the
thank
video,
y'all.
share, leave a comment later, join in on the conversation next time. But anyway, that's all we got for y'all today. We'll see y'all in the next video.
Next time.
Peace.